Good morning, everyone. How are ya? As you can see, today we have an amazing guest. This is Kallie Marie. Say hi.
Hi.
Okay, so now everyone gets to tell me if the audio is working and that you can hear Kallie okay. Yay! Yay, spam!
Oh my God.
Thumbs up on
There's a
audio. If you can hear Kallie and me both, say uh, microphone. Okay, everything's working fine. Yeah, so Twitch chat lags about 10-15 seconds, which is a little bit weird. There's a big delay on screen with both of us. The one on Twitch or
the one on Twitch.
yeah, that's the normal delay. Okay.
Okay. As long as,
Hello, microphone.
yeah.
What? Yeah, no.
I said no, as long as everybody's good, we're good.
Cool. So we'll just do hello, Stephen J. White, and Jorgen Laren in Dark Winter Dreams, of course. I think I saw some other people. Jabu Bab. Seattle VGOC, of course. Everyone, please give big love to Seattle VGOC because she totally saved the stream today. Macabremen's here. Raspberry Games, of course. Awesome. So many awesome people. Um, Welcome. So this is kind of a fun stream because okay, if you're not yes, stream saver. If you're not if you haven't been here before, this is kind of a special class where I have a guest. We do the master class. I also have my coffee. Um, where we get to pick Callie's brain about everything because she's an amazing producer and composer and one of my favorite people in the world. And I support her Patreon because she's that awesome. Like, I throw money at her. So you should
Thank
all
you.
you should all throw money at her. Um, so yeah, so this is kind of a special thing. So if you haven't seen one of these master classes, I try to do about one a month, and I try to bring in people from all over. Yeah, her music is kick-ass. I try to bring people from all over, various aspects of music, composition, um, game makers and stuff like that. Like anyone who's kind of involved in music and soundtrack work, uh, just to pick their brains. And it's really just a selfish endeavor because I love talking to awesome, smart people, and they make me sound smart. So this is good. Um, and if you're here and this is your first time here just for the master class, then what I normally do is I compose on stream, and the stuff that we were listening to is off my new album, which just came out last week. So that's all my stuff. Shameless plug on my own stream. So,
Hell yeah.
so yeah, I think that's the roundabout. So what I think we're gonna do is we're gonna start by playing. Oh yeah, so two things. If you have questions for Callie, put them in the chat, and we'll just keep track of them. We'll try to get to all your questions. So there's no real plan here. We're just kind of going for it. Just casual chatting about anything that comes to mind. And then I do have lots of audio from her. So we're going to start with a song just to kind of give you an idea of what she's about. And then I believe later we're going to premiere some new music on stream, which is super special. So pizza's here. Yay, pizza. Also, uh, sometimes people donate, but this would be a good day to donate monies because, or I have to say tip monies because all tips are going to Callie today for being here. We do have a little bit of a budget, so which is nice to bring on guests, but they're taking time out of their day and oftentimes getting up at way too early in the morning to do this. So if you do want to support more shows like this, that's today's a good day to tip. Um, so yes, throw money at her. Throw money at all the artists. All right, so we're gonna play a song called "Thaw." Do you want to set up the song?
Sure. Yeah. law was written at the start of last year for a climate change project, and it was something called the Listening Room, which is sort of like a gallery take on audio and music. So the Listening Room is based in Helsinki and in England. I think based in Leeds, actually. And so the curator basically picks a topic every year or every few months and puts a call out to composers and audio people. So you can do things like found sounds, spoken word, wild sounds, like if you just want to record an environment, or a piece of music. So I wrote this particular piece of music for this thing called the Listening Room. And it's about climate change, and that's what the exhibit was about. So everybody presented works that was either how they felt about climate change or things related to climate change. So you'll see, or you'll hear a bit of that in the music. And I think the piece just really speaks to a sort of desperation and a finality of approaching sort of a precipice that, we're being drug over a cliff, basically. Like we've passed a certain breaking point, and just the sort of desperation of all of that. So yeah, there you go.
Awesome. Yes. All right, let's take a listen. Yeah. Holy crap. No, that's awesome. Like, I don't think I've heard this one. Yeah.
No?
I don't, well, I've gone through so much of your stuff, but like, I don't remember. There's so much stuff. Like, if you get on her Patreon, like, seriously, there's like so much backlog of stuff that it
This is true.
takes a long time to go through.
Yeah.
I kind of want to just break down this song a little bit. Like,
Sure.
so obviously there's some like crackly, textury stuff, especially at the end there. It kind of obviously it comes in at the beginning. Um, I'm assuming that's kind of to represent the breaking of glaciers and ice.
It's it's actually a real recording of a glacier. I didn't go to any glaciers myself. I wish I could have, but I paid for I'm trying to remember the name of the company, and all you audio people should check it out. Where the heck did it go? My desktop is a mess. But basically, there is a online library that you can subscribe to, and it instead of paying like a subscription model, um, monthly, you pick like five sounds that you want at once, and you pay like $5 or $6, and so they're really high quality recordings. So I paid like $5 or $6 for the two glacier sounds that I wanted. And then I put them in, and I did like a minimal amount of processing because the person who recorded them really well. Because a lot of the times I don't like some nature recordings because there's like wind noise, or somebody tries to put like ambience or something on it. But these two particularly were really well recorded. So yeah, so it's actually really a glacier.
That is
In case anybody's wondering what I'm fidgeting with down here, I'm trying to get a honey packet open and I can't get it open. That's what's going on behind the camera
that's
here.
totally no. It's a casual thing, casual stream. That's awesome. That I would have never guessed that you actually got a glacier sound, and that makes me happy. Uh, Archive.org is a wonderful place for source material, albeit an abyss. Uh,
Mm.
I've never
Yeah,
used that.
I think it's like Sound Hub. I'm sorry, I can't remember what it's called, but yeah, there's a lot of good stuff like that floating around these days. And I think the cool thing too is that this particular site that I found it on, you can contribute and join. You can be either just a person that buys things, or you can have an account to upload your own stuff. So
Oh,
it's
cool.
pretty, yeah.
So if you like upload your own stuff, can you like, does it give you like free downloads of other stuff?
I don't know. I don't know how that works, how they've set up the monetization of it, or if it's like a like for like. But God, I feel terrible that I don't have the name of it off the top of my head. I might have bookmarked it though. Let me find. Maybe by the end of the stream, I will find it.
Okay.
Um,
So like,
I might have bookmarked it. But
yeah.
yes, carry on.
Okay. So then you have the some other bowed instrument like that gives like kind of that main texture, the glassy kind of bowed. Is it like a bowed vibraphone or something?
No, it's a synth that I have this thing where everything on my computer is basically a rabbit hole. I think I made it in Reactor, in blocks,
Oh,
um,
cool.
the free blocks that they have. I'm absolutely obsessed with it and I adore it, and I want to get like the whole thing because I don't have like the paid version of Reactor.
Hmm.
Um, but I spent a while developing and creating this like slow release off of
Hmm.
it. So the attack of the notes, that I'm hitting, and the release actually, that kind of zing is me pulling my finger off. So I really had to control how I was triggering each of the notes. But that's the
Awesome.
way I sort of designed it because I wanted I like a lot of tangibility
Mm-hmm.
in the sense that the soft sense that the sound design that I do, because I think it um, well, it makes me write better. It makes me play better. So it's this constant feedback loop between you know the technology being my composition tool and the composition informing the technology. It's like this nice feedback loop that all of us have now with this sort of DAW based environment. But yeah, so is Reactor blocks.
That's awesome. I So I don't have blocks because my version of Reactor is like old. I think I don't know. Maybe I have it. Maybe I can get it.
Yeah, it's free. I mean, it's
Okay.
so worth it. It's my favorite.
So that's like the
I like.
modular synth type thing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. See, I actually have a modular synth, so.
Ooh.
Ooh. I know. Brag.
like a physical one,
Like a
not a.
physical one, yeah.
Ah.
But
Yeah, that's a rabbit hole.
don't do it. Don't do
I
it.
can't. I
I
mean,
can't afford it, and I've done it.
yeah, I don't have a couch, so there's a lot of room in the living room. I could just fill the living room with synths, but I don't think my roommate would be happy about that.
Mm-hmm. So then is most of your stuff like DAW based in the box kind of thing, or?
A lot of it. A lot of my work that's solo will be in the box, DAW based, and I spend a ton of time, an inordinate amount of time creating the sound. So I'd never, ever, 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 ever use presets for anything. It's a major no-no. It's sacrilege. But there are live instruments. I guess later on when we get to like the sort of the band stuff, that has some live instruments in it, and occasionally, like if there's like a specific instrument that I want, I will record it and put it in as like a featured kind of thing, or I'll get a guest musician to come play on a track if there's something that I want. So as I build things out and have more capabilities in my home studio, then hopefully I can get more live stuff. But yeah.
And then you had that arpeggiated synth kind of coming in
Mm-hmm.
middle to end, which kind of was surprising. Like it kind of comes out of nowhere a little bit, but it totally fits then. And I like the part where that's kind of got this good rhythm to it, and then everything else is kind of very floaty around it, and so it kind of
Mm.
adds this very unexpected, almost arrhythmic, like feel. So
Mm.
like, I guess what was the kind of um, yeah, thought process behind all of that? Like,
The thought process. I wanted. I work really visually, so I had the first instrumentation that's almost part string, part piano,
mm-hmm,
and visually in my mind, I was seeing a lot of aerial sort of landscape shots while I was writing it. A lot of times I see images while I'm writing, and when I got halfway, I wrote the first instrument first, so I wrote all the sort of um, the higher register part first, and the arpeggiated synth part came after, and I wanted something that would push the monotony and the struggle and the sort of just this like dragging a stone around your neck, sort of having like a rope around your neck with a large stone attached to it, which is sort of the way I feel about humanity and climate change. And we're dragging it forward
mm-hmm,
slowly, and it's like it's hurting us. So the pacing of that arpeggiated synth is from that visual in my mind of people almost in like a desert landscape, walking towards the edge of a cliff, very slowly with these sort of boulders attached to their necks. It's so grim.
no,
But
it's
yeah, it's
perfect.
grim.
We're grim on this stream.
Yeah.
My
And
mom was joking about me. She's like, I like your music, but can you write something happy? I was like, nope, I can't
no,
do
happy
it.
is hard. Happy is so hard to write. I find happy music the hardest thing ever. It's
Right?
like,
Like I tried to write a pop song once, and I'm like, it's hard.
mm.
Um,
Well, I guess it's like the same thing they say comedy is like the hardest thing to write. And
right?
yeah, happy music is really hard to write as well. So yeah, but definitely just images of desperation and the pacing coming from physical pacing, which I think makes sense too, having coming from a background of being a dancer. I also think
Right.
that way when I'm writing. So things get very visceral when I write, and I'm glad no one can see me because I tend to flail about a bit and have to get up
Do
and
you like
try things out
dance and
physically.
stuff? You need a
Yeah,
standing desk so you can dance and compose at the same time.
I do sort of when I'm working. I get a bit
What kind of?
like I probably look more like a drummer playing a keyboard than a a pianist or something.
That's
So.
okay.
But I would love to see this piece if there's any choreographers out there put to choreography with that kind of imagery in mind because then I started imagining different backdrops and things like that too.
That's
So
awesome.
anyway,
What kind of
hope
dancer?
that
Were you
answers
like
that.
a kind of classical ballet or?
Yeah, ballet for many years and tap and jazz too,
Okay.
but ballet mostly.
Dancers are weird creatures.
That explains so many things.
Right? I do want to say we did get a donation from Jabu Bab
Woo!
for $10, and he said, "Saturday with friends, awesome people in music." So thank you so much.
Thank
Um,
you.
and as I mentioned, all tips are going to Kelly today to say thank you for her being here. Uh, Yay! Yeah, ask questions right now. Anything you want. We're just
Yeah.
keeping tabs on chat. It's very casual, that kind of stuff. Yes, and please wave your tentacles. We have an octopus theme here, so wave your tentacles for Jabu Bav for the tip. Um, you almost managed. I was like, I should, because like I don't have the audio cues right now. So usually I have a big fanfare that plays if somebody tips. So,
Oh, wow,
uh,
that's cool.
but with the weird audio stuff, I can't. Actually, violinists are the most odd artists. Not yeah, a little bit. Um, the other kind of thing I was kind of curious about with the song was like you take your time on it. It's a very methodical and slow song. Uh, which I really appreciate and fits the whole theme, like you said, the pulling of the stone, this like slow but inevitableness of it. Um, it's I don't know. I mean, it really fits, but it's something I struggle with sometimes. Like, I really love that style of music. Like, I'm that kind of person that listens to those old prog rock albums, right? Where the entire, like, it's like one song or like post rock stuff where it's like, okay, that whole side of the album is just a single song. Like, I guess, how do you get comfortable in that area where you just are like where you're like, yeah, I'm gonna just let this be and let
Mhm.
it progress, or is that something that comes natural to you?
No, well, okay. Yes and no. I think my natural inclination is for stranger structures than the pop and rock world would lend itself to. Um, so I do have that proclivity for odd structures, but I do have to say when I was at the Leeds College of Music, I had a couple tutors, or well, they teachers, they call them tutors there, who really helped me with um, organizing and development of themes. Particularly Rob. Hi, Rob, if you ever hear this. And it was is really hard, especially when you're writing long scale
Mm-hmm.
pieces, to pace your ideas and make sure that you don't just sort of spit everything out in the first 5 minutes and then you're left with 10 minutes of what. Um, and that's really hard. And so letting things develop slowly and being comfortable with how you're going to pace things out. I think when I first started trying to get into it, it was really hard for me to transition between sections, and I still struggle with that. I would like to hope that someday that goes away, or if that's just like a thing that all composers have, like a thing that haunts them. But the transition between different sections in a piece is really hard for me, and so I'm trying to think of when I was working with Dr. Rob, one of the first things that I remember him helping me with was looking at the BPM and looking at how long the piece needed to be, and almost making like a mathematical formula for knowing how many bars were for each section, so that I could sort of plot out ahead. And that's how archetypes for architecture was written, was to a mathematic formula. Now, I don't do that anymore because I suck at math, and I would seriously, like, it would put me off doing any of that, because I actually have like a learning disability with mathematics, so it's called dyscalculia, so it is really hard for me to do that. But what it did do is help the way I think about approaching it. And with this particular piece, I didn't think about how long the piece needed to be, because it was actually the first time that I was sitting down to write something in a long time. I had gone through like a 3-year period of not writing anything, and Thaw was the first thing that I wrote coming out of that period, because I honestly felt so much about climate change and just the dire situation of it. So I think I've gone on a ramble.
No. The joke about my stream has been like it's me like getting distracted for about 2 hours, and sometimes music happens. So this was like perfect. This is, like I said, the idea behind the master classes is just like two people who do music stuff, like talking shop. So you have friends with dyscalculia. You have to change the way you explain things to them. Yeah, pizza. That is definitely a thing. It's weird.
Yeah, left and right are even like, they're not definite places to me. They're more of a feeling. So I have to shake when I need to know left and right. I have to. You'll see me like shake my hand first before right, and because dyscalculia affects left and right, telling time on analog clocks, sense of time, directions. I get lost a lot, not because I like don't have a good sense of direction, but if I'm looking at an address, I end up like inverting the numbers no matter how many times I say them out loud. So saying them out loud is like a thing, which is fine in New York City, because you can totally walk around talking to yourself, and like that's completely normal.
Right? Oh yeah, Pizza asked, okay, first of all, what comes first for you? The tune / melody, or like the way an instrument sounds? So you kind of sound design first, or do you kind of go with find a melody and then find sounds that fit that?
It's always sound design first, and I blame that because my music background comes from audio engineering and production standpoint. That's where I sort of sunk my teeth in first. So that's where I always start. I make a good sound, a sound that I like, and that I like the way it reacts when I, trigger it, and then I start creating a sound, a melody or whatever out of it. Yeah, it's always sound design first, seemingly. Yeah.
So you kind of almost create your own like instrument, and then you learn how to play it on the fly and feel it out. Okay, I've done that a little bit. There's definitely some of those patches where you, like, it just wants to be played in a certain way. But I definitely tend to be a melody first person, or a little bit of a concept. I usually have like an idea of something I want to explore, whether it's like an interval or a chord or a rhythm or something, and then I kind of just explore it and figure out where it needs to go and kind of slam it in and then craft around. But I'm also a very like like you talk about the math stuff, like I have an engineering background, like so my day
Ah.
job is as a software engineer, so I definitely have like that big analytical part. So when you're talking about like
Mm.
mathing it out, I'm like, oh, that's interesting. That feels very mathy. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So where does your Twitter name come from? That was the other Doomgolly.
Yeah. So let me see. When I was, oh my gosh, I think this might be Last FM's fault. Um, Way back in 2005 or six, I was setting up my Last FM label account because Last FM was one of the first sort of streaming sites that you could, as an artist, put your music up and get royalties from, and like, you know, and so I was sort of excited by that as I was just starting to release music, and you had to make a label to sort of self-release on. So I named it Doomgolly, and the name comes from sort of my grandmother because she would always say like golly a lot, like oh gosh, oh golly, and like I was trying to just think of like words that were it sort not in opposition, but sort of like I don't know, a dichotomy. So like doom and gloom and like, oh gosh, golly. And so I just whammed the two words together, and then it stuck because like 2 years after that, I had to set up my ASCAP publishing, and I decided to just use that name for my ASCAP publishing. And then of course Twitter became invented, and I just kept the name for that as well. So it's been following me around for I guess over a decade now.
Cool. That's like most artists, you way overthought it.
Yeah,
And
but yeah,
that's
it's sort of
awesome.
like inspired by my grandmother a little bit.
Aww. The Key 149, thank you for the follow. Good to
Yay.
see you here. Welcome. I want to play because you mentioned the whole mathing thing and you mentioned the song, what is it called? Archetypes in Architecture? Which
Hmm.
I think is a brilliant name, and I'm always about the alliteration, so, and it just feels
Yeah.
good.
Well, it is 15 minutes long, so
It is? You sent me a 15-minute one?
I
Um,
did. I don't know if you want to like pick like a portion of it, or if we want to talk a little bit about it before and then we can pick through sections of it. I don't know if that's possible with the way, but I thought I should warn everybody because it is 15 minutes
yeah,
long.
okay, maybe not a 15-minute song. I mean, I'm gonna listen to it on my own, of
Yeah.
course, but uh,
Yeah.
yeah. So why don't you go ahead and talk about it a little bit, and then if there's sections, I'm just running off of iTunes right now, so I can kind of scrub the
Okay.
timeline a little. If you kind of know approximately where things are.
I
Um,
definitely do. Yeah. So, because we did do the whole math structure for the piece, it's 15 minutes long and it's broken into largely three sections of five. Within those three sections of five, there are themes, which, ooh, I wonder if I still have the notes on my desk. I think I do. This will be interesting. This is like memory lane. I love it. There's, oh, goodbye, business cards. Just throwing shit around now. There are sections within the five of A, B, and C, and then variations off of themes A, B, and C. So what you have at the start is, I think, just like mostly piano
mhm.
and a couple other instruments, and then that develops. And then once that's finished developing, when we get into the second set of five, we introduce new instruments which are live, and they're played by David Lowery, who's another fantastic composer and producer. And he and I studied together, and I got him to play tabla and hammer dulcimer on the track.
Nice.
So things sort of kick off. We gradually introduce those instruments in. There's also some helicopter rotator blades that were slowed down and edited and put in for texture and ambience around that point in the piece when his instruments sort of enter. And then the arc of the piece comes at the latter portion of section 2. So that would be, I guess, about 10 minutes in. And then what happens after everything peaks is you just have a recapitulation for the last 5 minutes, which is like the first 5 minutes of everything winding back down. I didn't see if I can find the notes, because then I could show you guys my notes.
You used a big word. So some people, what is a recapitulation? Which is fun to say.
Oh, it is a fun word to say. So recapitulation is like, well, it's almost similar to regurgitation. Something coming back up or restarting again, right? So it's returning and happening again.
Yeah.
I guess is the simplest way to explain it.
I always learned about it when listening to like Beethoven, because his song structure was so very meticulous, and the idea of like you go through a part, you state the theme, you start to explore the theme, and then you go back and have your recapitulation, which goes back to that theme again to restate it. So
yeah, it's something that happens more often in classical music, I guess, or art music, however you want to be about it. I can't find the notes.
Yeah.
Oh well, they're probably in a desk somewhere. But
well, we can let the song be your notes.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh,
so I
good
don't know if people have an interest in hearing a particular section of it or samples of certain sections, we can. Totally.
I think maybe we just start playing it until we kind of get an idea of what it's about, and then maybe we skip forward, like catch a little bit of each of the fives.
Yeah.
Okay. You can be like.
Yeah, I think start.
I'm starting.
Okay.
So much sound design. Are those reverse samples?
Yes. Some forward and some back. It's cans falling down the stairwell.
Nice. Did you play all the piano stuff yourself?
Yeah.
Is that like a hammered dulcimer?
Long delay on a piano.
Because it has that sound.
Yeah, it's a little foreshadowing. Of course, I didn't know I was going to use dulcimer when I made the piano sound.
Oh, you are going to use dulcimer?
Yeah, David Lowery comes in about 5 or 6 minutes on tabla and hammers.
Okay, well, we need to skip forward a little. If that's okay. Sorry, I know.
Uh-huh. No, there's the helicopter.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
You can sort of hear the tablas starting to come in.
Yeah, it just kind of has that. 'Cause you set up that rhythm, and then it just kind of starts playing off of it slowly.
There we go.
Oh, I love that like synthy thing up top.
Thank you.
Yeah, the like kind of polyrhythmic stuff is so brilliant. I'm having a hard time, like, should I go on to the next part or should we just keep listening?
It's up to, like if people are enjoying it or they have questions about it.
Yeah, ask questions.
To wind down, like after this, and then get it to the, recapitulate back into the beginning.
Okay.
So, it's just winding.
Skipping forward a little bit.
Yeah, it is sail on Bandcamp if you want to have
Okay, and then we go back to kind of the slow.
it. Go all the way back home.
Nice big spacious verby stuff.
Yeah.
Always sounds good.
Yeah. Yeah, this section or the section at the beginning, I believe, were both used in this film called Something's in the Way. It's like an independent short film.
Nice.
You can find, I guess, online. Part of it is in my reel on my website.
Something's in the way?
It's a film about a Vietnam veteran that comes home to his wife and kid and has really bad PTSD and is trying to learn to cope with living with them after coming back from the war. And back then they didn't really know what PTSD was, so this music got used in that film.
You love happy subjects.
I didn't write it for that film. It just
it fits though, yeah. So, like, do you ever score your stuff out, like, sheet music wise?
I have actually. This piece has been put into a score for like a application that I was doing, and I think one or two of my other pieces have been. But initially, when I write, I don't. It's actually something that I really want to get better at because I don't have an opportunity to put stuff into sheet music very often, like a reason to, and it's not a skill set that is very strong for me. So I would like to, do that. I have scoring software. It's not my background. So I definitely want to get better at it so that, if there are live musicians, like an ensemble that I'm going to set one of my pieces on, then I can, have the wherewithal to give it to them, because I can't just always go hum at people, which is what I'm known for doing. Can you play this? And they're like, no. Up an octave, half an octave.
Yeah, go down like the thing. Make it weird.
Now arpeggiate. I mean, at least I sort of feel like I have some of the vocabulary, but yeah.
When like, I guess kind of one of the weird things is I'm noticing you do a lot of stuff where you have, like, you start to build these textures and you have the rhythmic components going, like, but then there's a lot of stuff that just happens, like, seemingly arrhythmically. Is that something that's, like, have you ever tried to score those parts out, or you just kind of, like, the parts that you just kind of feel? Like the cans falling down the stairs.
Yeah, that's something I think well within the realm of, like, graphic scoring, which I had to do one once, and I just made, like, this giant painting of what it would be like with a sort of XY axis of, like, this equals this sound. And when you look at the score for archetypes in architecture, the notes on it are really, like, amusing, at least to me. And I just think, like, it must be horrific if you're an orchestra and you saw that, because it just says, like, ad-libbed noises and, like, with, like, markings for, like, the fortissimo or whatever, and then it goes on to, like, piano, and then, like, halfway through it's, like, again, ad-libbed noises. So,
I love it.
Yeah, that I think that's where I think that's kind of where we are, though, now musically. And I know a lot of people are doing things like this where they're trying to incorporate electronic instruments or elements in with a live orchestra, which is something I'm very interested in doing with like a launch pad or a laptop, so that I can trigger those sounds with the orchestra. They play, I play, we play together. Or even a tablet, and so I think the real struggle from an audio standpoint is getting those things balanced, right? Because I don't know, it would be really hard for, like, a conductor to conduct me, since I have no experience taking direction from a conductor other than as a dancer. Well, the dancers usually set the tempo, but you know, like if they're trying to get the orchestra into balance, because I think what a lot of people don't realize who aren't in orchestras and is that the conductor is our mixer. He's mixing the orchestra, right? Or he or she's mixing the orchestra. So if I'm working electronically, I can mix myself, and then that throws off the balance of what's being heard. So it's really problematic to try to mesh these things together when I have a lot of control over how loud or quiet I am, or how far left or right I am. And you know, then how do you get everything blended together when it happens live, so that you don't just have like loud noises dominating out of monitors, and it would sound wrong because the orchestra is not coming out of monitors.
Right.
So these are just things that, like, from an audio perspective, I just worry about every time I even think about, trying to orchestrate something.
You gotta do the thing. We'll collaborate. I can help orchestrate.
Yeah. I mean, I'm so up for it. I just there's got to be a way to make it work where it's not gonna ruin what the orchestra does or what an orchestra does.
Yeah, I've definitely seen it done before, and I think the biggest thing is you just the person playing the electronics just has to be very aware of that concept. So the fact that you are means that it will work.
I hope so. I'd let's try it.
Do the thing, make it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something. There's actually I should send you the info because there's the same people that when I'm coming out to New York next week, there's that call for scores that I'm doing the thing. The same group that put that on is doing another call for scores, but this time with an electronic musicians group with modular synthesizers and stuff, and looking for compositions like you just described with a more graphical approach like that. So you should totally submit a score for that.
Hell yeah.
Because it's right up with all the stuff you do. And yeah, it would kick so much ass.
Yeah. Send me the info.
I will. Yeah, rumor has it we might actually meet up next week, possibly.
Yeah.
If all things go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, I'll be out in New York for a world premiere of a song.
Yeah.
Which is pretty dope. It still hasn't hit me yet. There were some things we're gonna ask you. Yeah, call for scores for Control Z. Pizza's on it. Pizza's my best mod, and DW,
cool.
and all my mods are the best mods. I can't choose one over the other.
You have all the best mods.
Yeah, it's true. I guess, okay, so you kind of talk about production and composition. I guess, what do you see the difference being? Because I know when we were talking, you're like, I'm a producer and a composer. And I'm like, well, kind of how do you describe the distinction? Is it, yeah.
Yeah. This is actually a question that comes up a lot because I think that first of all, there's different types of producers. And I think also that there's a lot of confusion about what a producer is or does. So from my standpoint, what I think a producer is and what I believe or would like myself to be is a producer that works with bands. So it's akin to an audio engineer, if people are familiar with that role. Classically, in a recording scenario, you have an audio engineer and a producer and a tape op and maybe an assistant engineer and a couple runners. And so the producer, different producers work different ways, but they would work largely with the artist to make sure that they're getting the kind of sound that they want, and working with pre-production sometimes, making sure that everything's planned out, as well as really crafting and honing the sounds and figuring out what mics and how things are going to be placed, and really teaming with the audio engineer to use the studio and their facilities the best way. So that's kind of my background. And when I'm writing, it depends on the project. If I'm writing for my band, then I have much more of a producer hat on,
Mm-hmm.
um, because I know that if down the line it's going to go into the studio,
Okay.
and I have people that I have to work with, in the practice space when I'm going to have to communicate, those types of things. So when I'm writing by myself,
Mm-hmm.
the producer hat is still there, but I'm not really worried as much in terms of like going into the studio because unfortunately I'm not going to really get to until I have more budget. But the producer hat is ever present because I won't let myself do things like signal processing until later. And I think that's
Interesting.
very important because you can't start setting things like panning
Mm-hmm.
when you haven't written the rest of the pieces because everything's going to interact. So it's really important to write the parts and get everything in first and then go into mix mode and start
Mm-hmm.
mixing, which is when signal processing and things like that should be happening. So I think that I it's hard the way DAWs are not to go down that rabbit hole because I could spend ages like EQing something, but like what is the point in
Mm-hmm.
spending half an afternoon EQing something when I still have like 8 other instruments that are going to interact with that haven't even been written yet, and it's going to throw everything off. So,
Yeah.
long story short, it's both things all the time, but you do have to constantly like remind yourself and be a little bit self-aware of like, okay, where is this going?
Mm-hmm.
What am I going to do?
Yeah. No, I've talked a lot about like the kind of similar thing is like when you're mixing and you like solo a track and you're like working really hard on that track and then you put the rest of it in and you're like, well, that sounds like shit. Like because you weren't mixing with that, and like yours is like the ultimate version, like you start mixing when you don't even have all the parts.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and this is, I guess, how I used to explain mixing to my audio students is to think of it like cooking
Mm-hmm.
soup. And from like farm to table, if somebody brings you like half rotten like vegetables or whatever, the soup is never going to be good. So things have to be recorded well
Uh-huh.
in the first place if you're dealing with things that are out of the box and live. Like there's no amount of tweaking, fixing, or editing that's like going to make up for rotten vegetables. It's just going to be a bad soup.
Uh-huh.
And if you have a really good mix engineer, they're going to turn you away because you've brought them bad ingredients, and they're just going to be like, nah, like I'm not the chef responsible for that sauce. But then when we get, you're mixing in the box even or whatever, you have in the box elements, it's that constant taste testing
Mm-hmm.
like you would do with the soup. You're like, oh, I've added too much salt, now I've got to add a little extra water, or I went overboard with the pepper, so I'm gonna, and you're constantly like, if you add more pepper, then you have to balance it out with something else, so you're constantly going
Mm-hmm.
back and forth trying to get the right balance. And sometimes that just comes from like your room too, like you might not be in the best listening environment, and so that's when I say like, well, if your pot isn't big enough or your pot is too big, then
Mm-hmm.
you're struggling with, your supplies, and you have to take that into consideration too.
So in this analogy, reverb is garlic, right?
Maybe. Yeah, because everybody always tries to put that in to hide things, right?
Right? And it's delicious and just when in doubt, just add more garlic.
Oh no, no.
Always.
I'm making people hungry. I'm sorry.
No, that's a really brilliant analogy, though. Reverb is garlic. Yes, that's totally a thing now. Um,
It does remind me, if people have seen that bunny poster that has the different rabbits of audio, and there's like the reverb
oh
bunny.
yeah,
I'm like, if I need to find a print of that, I want to frame it and hang it. But it perfectly visually explains it.
mm-hmm.
But yeah, mixing is a lot like cooking.
I
Um,
need to bunny sound processing. Let's see if I can find it. Comic.
It's there's like it's been on the cover of Tape Op a while back. I have a screenshot of it on my phone.
I know
I'm sorry, there's
exactly
like a
which one
large,
you're talking about too.
yeah. There's a really loud car horn going on. My apologies if that's coming through on the audio that people can hear. Somebody's literally like died and fell over on their car horn.
Oh my god.
It's just sustainato, like, so I hope that you guys can't hear that. But
I
if
can't.
people can, I will get up and close the window.
Wait, did somebody find it? Pizza.
Oh yes, K-pop issue 88. Thank you, Pizza Mod person.
How? This is why like my mods are the best. They like are my second brain.
Just on it,
Reverb. That's totally true. Um,
right?
I
But
can't share the screen right now, but yeah,
yeah,
it's perfect.
yeah,
Uh,
people, you guys can all, I guess, hopefully see that in the chat and check it out, or anybody that's following along outside of Twitch, um, you can Google it, Tape Op issue 88. It was the cover for it, but you can buy that poster too, so super
I
cool.
might need to buy that poster because it's
Yeah,
perfect.
I definitely need it. Like, it's the best, but yeah.
So I want to play your band stuff because you're talking about producing as a band person. So
Mm.
which one are we? We're gonna. There's is it Frayed and Shadow? Are those the two?
Yeah, so Frayed is from the first EP, which is called Slogan Formula, and it was um, composed, played, written, produced, all the things, mixed and mastered in 3 months.
Wow.
Um, while I was still living in Leeds. And the musicians that play on it are Andy Richards on drums, Mark Burrows on guitar and occasional bass. And Mark Burrows did sing on one of the songs on the EP, and then there's a guest vocal by Idiophonic on another track. But this track is the Frayed is the EP opener. It's the first track
Mm-hmm.
um, that's on there, and I played all the electronic stuff and drums and, well, not live drums, electronic drums and synths. So yeah,
Cool.
I think this is a lengthy one too. You might want to check. Is it like 5 minutes?
Forward half.
Okay, we're good. Yeah, because I like that too. Oh yeah. Yes. Yeah. That's what grows on guitar, and it's got a band called Like Scream. You guys know.
Oh, I would watch a romantic comedy with this soundtrack,
Maybe they're like running away from something together.
right?
They're like arm in arm, big explosions,
Maybe it's like a
politics.
kinky romantic comedy.
Yeah, I mean, Hackers is sort of a romantic, you know,
Yeah.
not comic. You guys are hilarious. I love it. This track is also available as part of a really, I have to mention, a really great compilation that was put together after the tsunami that happened in Japan a
Hmm.
few years back. It's called Pale Blue Dot, and it's a lot of great industrial bands on there. I'm trying to remember a few off the top of my head here, blanking, but um, oh man, I'm but you guys should definitely check it out. And you guys can, all the proceeds go to Japan as it was like a benefit
Hmm.
release. So this track got put on that, which is really cool too, to have been a part of that.
Uh, Sorry, my brain thinks like three steps ahead, so I forget to react to what you just said. No, that's so awesome. Like you seem to be involved in a lot of these like sort of world goodly projects of I don't know.
I mean, yeah, I think I think globalism is where we're kind of at now as a culture. I think that people, because we're all connected so much all the time to each other with devices in our pocket, now everything really is global. So,
Hmm.
you know, it's crazy to me to think about people that I talk to every day that I've never met, like so many of you, or people that I've never seen or heard their voice, or anything that I talk to all the time online. And so when you hear about things happening somewhere else in the world,
Yeah.
it's not just somewhere else. It's, oh my God, this person,
Hmm.
that I know is going to be impacted by it. And I think that's really the way humans should always be thinking,
Yeah.
because even if you don't know, you don't have to know someone somewhere for things to matter when something bad happens or something good happens, because it
Right.
still does affect us.
Well, and that's
Yeah.
why, like, yeah, this whole thing is. I mean, I know people in chat are from all over the world. Like, just
Yeah.
because we have to deal with time zones when things happen, and like you, I never actually like spoke to you until a couple of days ago when we got on Skype for the first time, and like I've been following you and we've talked on Twitter all the time, and it's just like
Yeah.
you're right though. It's just I don't know, the idea that some of my best friends I've met online, which is totally weird from like I remember like many years ago when the internet was a budding thing. It was, oh, don't give out any personal information, don't open up, everyone online is, horrible
Yeah.
predators. And now it's just like, wait, you're online, come over, come sleep at my house, like it's
Yeah.
just weird how connected I feel to so many people.
Yeah. No,
um
I think it's really beautiful.
The way we talk on Twitter feels like we've known each other quite a while. Yeah, I don't remember how, like, when we actually kind of first introduced. I remember hearing about you or finding you as a composer person, and then we
Yeah.
just started talking a little bit, like Twitter does, and then it just
Yeah.
kind of, I don't know, it you fall in step pretty naturally with a lot of shared interest. Also, hi, famous bear. Um,
Hello.
I love people's names. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, long distance relationships because of internet.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
so I guess another question I had more specifically, technically about Frayed. How
Mhm.
involved were you in the mix of that? Did you do the mix or?
Yeah, yeah, very involved in the mix. We mixed it in the Toft studio at the Leeds College of Music on a Toft desk. So we were able to kind of, well, we recorded the drums and the guitar and all the live elements in that studio. So it was really wonderful recording through the Toft desk because we could really push the analog in a way to get a really nice
Right.
distortion from that desk. And so I mixed the record with, why is my brain doing this to me?
Because it's too early in the
He's a good
morning.
friend of mine too, and I can see his face plain as day. Oh
It's
god,
okay.
he's gonna kill me.
It's okay. No, I do
I'm,
that all the time. I'm like, I cannot remember that person's name, and
I'm gonna just grab the actual physical CD and just
ooh.
avail myself of its.
Plus, you can show the CD on camera, and it'll be awesome.
Yeah, look. All right. Well,
Ooh,
there's some glare
great.
happening there.
Nice.
So that's the cover. That's the back.
Fair enough.
And it was mixed with um, Andrew Brothwell and mastered with Andrew Brothwell. And Ali Jowett was my engineer
Mm.
for the live sessions. So the two of them were my team,
Hmm.
um, and they both we all studied together, and they're both amazing, very talented guys. So, but yeah, this is the physical CD, which not many people have a copy of.
Can you still buy those?
Um, no, there are about five in existence, but you can, if people were really into that, I could make that happen somehow. It's just a lot to get the color
Yeah.
printing.
Yeah.
But yeah, if people want physical copies again, I will put them back into production. But right now, there's just the download.
Okay.
There is a physical copy of the newest EP, but it's not a CD. It's a USB. It's a limited run of like 400 or 200. I think I have about 150 left. Bandcamp knows how many I have left, but it's a cool little USB.
I thought
And
about
shame on me not having
doing
one.
that, like doing custom USB sticks. That was one of my. I was trying to figure it out for my last band. It was a really
Yeah.
interesting. So that's awesome. You haven't bought
I
a
really think
physical
that
10 years, yeah.
yeah, this album came out in 2007, so it is 10 years ago
Oh
now.
god.
Gosh, wow. Uh,
We both just felt old at the same time.
but yeah, the newer EP came out in 2013, and with regard to the USBs, originally we had wanted to get the USBs to be wearable. There's like dog tags that have the USB, or leather bands, wristbands that are have the band logo stamped into the band, and then the USB is something that you basically unclasp the bracelet and can plug it in. Um, so but we went with a bamboo one that flips and opens,
Oh,
which you can
cool.
you can find on the Bandcamp, and you can take the music off and use it just as a USB. You don't have to keep the record on there. Sorry, I just put that back.
It's okay. You're allowed.
Yay!
Um, cool. Let's see. Brains. So I want to talk about Little Joy because I know that's
Okay.
like so to kind of give people like an extended. Oh, what DAW do you use?
all of them.
Fair enough. It's always a question that people like to know, and I always tell people use the one that you're most comfortable with or that inspires you and gets you there fastest. But like I know some people like to know kind of which ones people are geared towards. So
Sure, yeah.
so we can start a fight.
Yeah. I write with Ableton a lot at the moment, and have been for some time because it's really quick. The processing, it makes sense to me. It doesn't, complain at me about plugins being authorized or whatever. It just, I open it up and it works. I do suspect I'm not using it the right way because I'm not working in like the Clips launch live view, but that's something that, I'm another thing that I'm trying to learn and work on so that I can start doing a little bit of what I do in a live setting because I don't gig. So that's on the back burner of things Kallie needs to be better at. But anytime that I'm recording, I go right into Pro Tools. So, anything that is going to get edited as well, I do all my editing in Pro Tools because I just don't, I feel like Pro Tools is the best place to edit and record. Although I have recorded guitar into Ableton. And some of the stuff on that, like the first EP that I did with my band is a lot of Reason. I think Reason's incredibly powerful too, so big nod to them, and I'm a huge fan of their app that they've got for the iPad. I've written some stuff in there too on my iPad. So yeah, I like to have all my fingers in all the pies. I'm sort of greedy like that, but I love software. I just love I love technology. So yeah.
And it's interesting that you're like, I love technology, and we mixed on an analog desk. Like, but no, like, it makes sense. Like, I don't know, like, you'd use the tools that you want that get you there.
Yeah, no, analog desks are yummy.
My album was mastered on an analog desk. I know that much. So, but I did all the mixing myself in the box because that's how I roll. Because I can't afford any other mixers. I also like Control.
Well, I think that's why we all end up in the
right?
music stuff because they're control freaks. I think that's why film directors are film directors. They're control freaks about what they do, and you kind of have to be. So yeah.
Yo, so Little Joy, that was written for a thing.
Yes, Little Joy was written as sonic branding for a YouTube channel, which everyone should check out. And they've now started their own Patreon. It's called A Town Called Bastard. So they have like a little acronym, ACTB. And they wanted some sonic branding for their channel so that, it would sort of unify and give them a little bit of branding between segments or when they take like a channel break. Just kind of as an identifier. So yeah, it's a cool channel. They're doing video games and board games, all kinds of gaming, and they stream or do like regular webisodes that are oftentimes comical in nature. So yeah, everybody should check them out and check their new patron out too.
Called Bastard.
Yeah.
I'm trying to look it up on.
And there you go.
It wasn't supposed to play the video yet. I'm just getting a link. To check.
There you go. So
I need to use the term sonic branding because like I've done that, and for some reason like I'm like I did the jingles and the things that make up the stuff. But sonic branding is concise.
Yeah, it is, and it's a kind of a specific thing because if you think like when people think of Intel, they hear like the sound, the sound. It's like an audio logo, and so sonic branding. Or there's like, what's another good sonic branding that I'm trying to remember? But yeah, there's a bunch of them. So this is kind of like it's really short.
The THX, THX.
Yes, yeah.
Like that. Yep. There's a lot of them that are just so. So yeah, let's listen to it. It's very short. This is the extended version too.
Right. Yeah. So.
Oh, that was I didn't it.
It's okay.
No one noticed.
No one saw that.
Forget the last 2 seconds. No one noticed. These are not the songs you were looking for. So, like, how do you approach that? Because obviously, not like you're working for somebody. You're trying to kind of imbue what they're about into the music. Like, what is your approach to all that?
That's actually like my favorite thing is make a thing for someone or make a thing for something. I don't know why, but I really like that. And how I approached it for them in this particular case was that, I knew that there was going to be a comedic element to what they were doing, but and I know that it was based around games, so I started playing around with palettes of chip tunes and vintage kind of sounding video game stuff, and I wrote this particular piece really quickly on my iPad, and thought that was too easy and it can't possibly be the thing because it just happened. And so I put it to one side thinking, but it's so upbeat and it's so happy-go-lucky, and I just thought, is it too happy? I don't do the happy thing. I'll put it over here. And then I went and I wrote them like 3 other pieces of music that were longer, and really trying hard with my happy and my chiptune, which is, I feel like chiptune really does lend itself to a bit of happy, which makes it easier, I think, for me to work in. And so, they'd given me the brief, and I'd looked at like some of the videos that they had just started to put out introducing the whole crew. And they were like, they wanted one thing, and I sent them 4. I was like, ta-da, pick one. And they automatically went, yeah, that one, which I was like, Little Joy, which I had written first before any of the other ones. And I was like, I knew I had a gut feeling that I just didn't trust myself that was going to be the one. So it's kind of funny in retrospect that I wrote all that other music that I could have just sent them the first one and been like, here. And they would presumably have still liked it, but it's like a psychology thing. So mindset wise, I was just really in the headspace of, fun rather than happy. Fun and electronic, and without things being like a rave or, like I didn't want it to be like, this isn't like a party track. This is like what I would see in a video game. So
did they give you like any direction, or was it
not
just
other than like,
do your thing, here's what our channel's about?
Yeah, and then they sent me some videos on YouTube to other people's channels too that had a feel to them, like the dark comic element, and they're like, this is kind of the dark comic style that we'll probably be joking around in and talking about video games. So I just, really wrote from a place of like, fun and silly, and just went with, a palette of things that I thought were fun and silly.
That's cool. That's really...
Yeah.
It is fun. Like, so I did Sonic branding, many of you know, for Anna Geeks, formerly Geek Girly Gaming. She's another Twitch streamer, and she's kind of awesome. But her kind of direction, like, she gave me, like, I want it to kind of be like 50s radio jingles. So I did the whole research part where I just listened to a whole bunch of like radio commercials from like the 40s, 50s, 60s and stuff like that, and kind of started to dissect what the style was, the types of instrumentation and harmonies, and also like the quality of the sound, so I could mimic that through processing. So that one was a little more direct than, which is kind of interesting. The coffee song, there's a coffee song.
Oh yeah.
Because there has to be a coffee song. That's
hell yes.
We are sitting at about an hour and a half. I thought maybe what we should do is do the big reveal, and you can talk about that, and we can kind of end on a cool thing with the big reveal. People have questions. That'd be awesome. But yeah, we're doing. This has been amazing. I
Yeah, it's great.
coffee does not have to be a thing for everyone. No, no, but for us who love coffee,
Tea.
tea has to be. Yeah, um, yeah. So things, collaborations.
Mm. So, are we leaning towards the introduction
I
of
think
this
we're
this
leaning towards the introduction. Dun dun
Okay.
dun.
So, this piece was written for a fantastic illustrator named Julia Y, and she's a Seattle-based artist. So, if any of you are up there in Seattle, you should go check her out. She's got some stuff on display, I believe, at a couple different locations right now in Seattle. Some like bookstores and cafes and things, some pieces for sale. And she's been recently working on a whole series of zodiac pieces where she's illustrating her way through the zodiac. And she reached out to me a couple months back and was like, I want to basically film myself making the pieces so people can see a little bit about my process, because her process is pretty involved and I can't speak to it as eloquently as she probably
It's
would,
super
but
cool. That's the
yeah,
because I got to actually meet up with her, and she's kind of
yeah.
amazing and super talented. And I'm actually wondering, because I was actually just at a coffee shop that had a whole bunch of zodiac stuff.
It might have been
I
hers.
wonder if it is. That would be
Nah.
wild.
Do you remember what the coffee shop was called?
Soul food coffee.
Oh, that doesn't ring
Sunshine.
any bells, but I don't know. Yeah, but her pieces,
Oh my
well, and you
god.
you guys can check them out online. And one of the videos is up already from a piece we released earlier. So she asked me to do a short piece, which is already out, and it's her process. You'll see her do painting, stitching, like embroidery, and drawing to make the final product. And the piece that we're debuting today, which is not released yet, she hasn't released the video yet, is the longer video. So the first video that we released with different music was a very short, like 30-second, quick, fast-paced and edited view of one of her pieces being made. The video that's yet to be released is going to be with the music we're about to play for you guys, and it's going to be a longer video. It's like about 3 minutes, so it's a little bit slower, so you can really see more detail into her process of creating these pieces with her embroidery and drawing, and there's even like ironing happening. It's magical.
Awesome.
Yeah, so yeah, you guys should definitely check her out.
Cool.
Mhm.
That's like super. I don't know. I love collaborating like that. Like, so I'm assuming
Yeah.
this was a very visual thing for you. You say you work visually a lot, so I'm assuming you were looking at the art she was making and then doing the music, or
Um,
was it kind of like having an idea together and then building it up from?
so the first piece, the shorter one, she actually sent me some links to music that she wanted the music to be like.
Okay.
So she gave me pretty specific music direction about what she wanted the first piece of music to be like, and I went based off of that. And it was really exciting. And then halfway through the project, I started losing some of the hearing in my left ear, and so I was sort of like having a panic. And so when I wrote this piece that we're about to listen to, the second piece, she hadn't given me any additional music direction for it. And the day that I wrote it, I couldn't really hear that much out of my left ear. And so it was really weird. I was in a really kind of strange place, but I was trying out some really great pieces of software. Biotech, also a Seattle-based software company called Traction. So all you music people should check out Traction. That's the name of the company, and the name of the software is Biotech. And so I just started writing, and I did know what the visuals would look like. She sent me some samples of
Okay.
the finished pieces, and she did tell me a little bit about the color palette.
Mm-hmm.
But I wasn't writing necessarily based off the color palette. I was really writing more from a place of wonder and awe, because I think, anything that we create, as creators, whether it's visual or audio or written words, or acting or whatever, comes from a sort of ethereal place. And the pacing needed to be really upbeat for the short video.
Mm-hmm.
So it came from a different place of excitement and interest, and trying to get the audience to feel excited and interested. So I was coming from a sort of emotional approach, where when we have something that's a longer 3 minutes, um, I wanted people to feel wrapped up in sort of just wonder. So that's kind of where I came from, along with just being incredibly like, I really hope my ear gets better.
That is such a weird state to be in. That is.
And it started snowing as I was working on the piece,
Oh
which,
my
if you're
gosh.
one of my patrons, there's a video that I put up, in progress the day that I was writing it, of it starting to snow, just as I was like adding in some of the instruments and just being like, what the hell, look at this, it's just started to snow, and the music fits with the snow, and it's like, ah. So yeah.
Has hearing loss been an issue before for you?
No, it has not. I take incredibly good care of my ears. I have custom molded earplugs that I take everywhere with me. I'm a baby about my ears. I won't like be around loud things. Sirens go by, I plug my ears. But it was a viral thing, which is totally terrifying. I had no idea that could happen. But if you get a virus, I had a fever of like 102 for like a couple days. And I just thought, oh, well, like I'll just keep taking cold baths and eat some popsicles and like, take painkillers and it'll get better. And it did, but then it went after my ear. And I guess that's actually fairly common. So if you wake up with sudden hearing loss, you need to go to the doctors, because you have about a 2-week window to get on steroids to suppress your immune system, to try to save the frequencies that you've lost. So it was really terrifying. There was like, they were saying, if the oral steroids didn't work, they were going to have to inject my eardrum with puncture the eardrum first, and then inject it with liquid steroids to bathe the cochlea in steroids to help it, and then they would have to repeat that process once a week for 3 weeks. So if you don't catch it
Oh
in
my
that 2 week
god.
window, the hearing loss is permanent. And there's no guarantee when they do steroid treatment that it's going to be 100% effective. It's actually a 50% gamble. So I'm really lucky that I have an amazing audiologist here in New York, Musicians Hearing Solutions, if you happen to be in New York. And I'm really lucky that I got to work with a very good ear doctor as well. And they were able to help me get some frequencies back, and now my ears are back to normal. But whew,
That is
knock on wood.
terrifying. Oh my god.
Yeah. So guys, if you have a fever and you wake up and you're missing some hearing, go to the doctor. Do not wait.
And on that note, this is a unreleased world premiere. I haven't listened to this at all, so this is completely new to me as well. So this is called Odyssey.
Hmm.
All right. This is the exciting part, you guys. Play. Oh my gosh. That is beautiful. That
Thank
is,
you.
oh, oh. I love how intricate it is, and it's, oh, I can
Thanks.
totally see that fitting with like the embroidery, and like I can picture like that being over a thing where you're like zooming in on her art and doing like the little like close-ups of her being meticulous, and
Yeah, yeah.
oh my god.
Yeah, it's you know, I just wanted whoever's, perhaps seeing her artwork for the first time, to be struck with a sense of wonder,
Uh-huh.
in what she's creating, because it really is, I don't think that people really realize what goes into any of the crafts. I mean, a lot of us do if we're creative types,
Mm-hmm.
but somebody that just might come across it on YouTube or something might not really get that. And I think my job, as a composer, is to make sure people feel what they're supposed to feel, quote unquote.
Uh-huh.
And that's like the job of a composer, really, when it comes to something visual. Is I'm there to support the emotional impact that I want the visuals to have, to kind of push them in that direction, so that she gets the kudos that she so well deserves.
Mm-hmm. No, I totally like that is yeah, it's unless you see the process or do it yourself, it's really hard to understand, like you said, just the amount of care and craft. Even when you're
Mhm.
struck by inspiration and like it seems to flow out of you, there's just so much craft around it and so much um, almost tedious.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think, and I mean, I can't speak personally, but I think her process is pretty. It's very labor intensive,
Yeah.
physically, like with the hands and eyesight. I just can't imagine. I mean, my own process is labor intensive too, but physical art,
Mm-hmm.
visual art, she's definitely got a lot of. It takes hours and hours of time to create, just like anything that any of us makes. A good meal, the preparation can take a long time, and certainly, a good score or a good book, they all take time.
Right. Yeah, it's funny because like I've talked to my girlfriend is an artist and I'm like, man, I don't think I have the patience. You sit there like
Mhm.
moving things pixel by pixel and like all these little things. I'm like, that's just so meticulous and tedious. I can't. And she's like, yeah, I don't know. I really like it. And then I go over to my computer and I'm moving little audio forms pixel by pixel. And all this like meticulous and I'm like, weird how that is natural to be and and it's just yeah,
Absolutely.
it's brilliant. Um,
Absolutely.
well, I think that's a good place to stop for the day.
Sure.
I This has been wonderful. This has made getting up at 6 in the morning and scrambling to get a competent setup hacked together to do this has made it all worth it. You're
Thank
you're
you.
amazing. I would love to have you back sometime to
I would
keep
love it.
talking shop.
Oh yeah.
Thank you everybody who is here. If you like this kind of stuff, give me a follow. I try to have guests on like once a month or two. And every week I'm here Saturday mornings at 8:30 Pacific time. And I live compose on stream and answer questions and show people all the tedium behind the scenes of how to compose various orchestral stuff. So um, thank you so much. I love how varied your styles can be, going from
Oh,
like
thank you.
industrial rock down to really delicate stuff. It's beautiful and it really speaks to your talent. And
Thank you. Thank
you're
you so
kind of
much.
amazing, and I'm just gonna gush about you all day. Um,
Thank you so much. And thank you also to Masha for helping.
yes,
And
thank
thank
you
you
so
both for
much.
going like to the millionth level to make this happen this morning. I know this past couple of days have been so stressful, between your internet going out and mine
Yeah,
almost being shut off. So
it's like the fates were conspiring, but no, we wouldn't let them have it.
victory.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for coming. Hopefully, this will be archived online and I'll put it up on YouTube. We're not going to do a raid today because I'm nowhere near equipped to do that. But please do show some other streamers, some creative streamers, some love. If you're new to Twitch, There's a great community of musicians and artists and everything, as well as games. But yeah, please do check some stuff out. And thank you again. And I'm going to spam all your links.
Woo!
Because and please do support Kallie's Patreon and follow her on all the things, buy stuff. Like, as I can't tell you how important it is. Like, money is kind of amazing because it really, really directly helps you keep doing the things. So yeah, if you want to set up a raid over to, or like an informal raid over to Ben Burns, that'd be great. He's a musician and he's working on some video games and stuff. So
I don't know what does this raid mean.
Raids are like when you finish a stream, you take your whole place and we go and like kind of like mob another person's stream.
Oh, cool.
And we try to share all the love and what we're doing and stuff. So we it's kind of a way to like show, it's like a personal recommendation and all a way to show them love, and then they usually show us some love in return. So it's a big group hug of tech. So
that's so cool. Okay, I wasn't aware of that term. Well, but thank you again, everyone, and I really enjoyed seeing everyone's comments and questions, and come say hi on Twitter.
Yeah, and continue the conversations on Twitter. We're more than happy to keep going. We nerd out about this stuff all the time. So
yeah, say hi, reach out online, and join me on Patreon. I love to talk to people there too. So thank you again, everyone.
All right. Bye.
Bye.